Welcome back to another episode of the Links Golf Podcast. We are presented this season by FootJoy. I'm Al Lunsford, joined by Joe Passoff, my co-host. And Joe, you and I both just got back from the 2025 PGA Merchandise Show. Always a fun week, a busy week. Lots of news and noise and new products to share. Had record numbers of participations this year, people in attendance and vendors. It's a really good time for golf, as we learned. Without further ado, let's get into some of the stuff that we loved, the best things we saw. But first, I want to talk about two notable course announcements that were made the week of the PGA show that got everyone's attention at two very notable golf resorts in the United States. Joe, I will throw it over to you for the first one, and you got an exclusive to hear about something new in the Midwest.
Well, okay, Al. So this is a little, comes with an asterisk because this news did not come out at the show. Instead, we had a wonderful dinner with the architect and the course owners, and then it was embargoed because they want to announce it in the right way at the right time. So by the time this podcast airs, this announcement will have been made. And so I'm excited because I've been to this place before and I know all the principals, and that is Forest Dunes Resort up in the north central area of Michigan, the great state of Michigan, for summer golf. And Forest Dunes is announcing that they have a brand new 18-hole design coming up from Gil Hanse. Yes, perhaps the hottest golf course architect in the business. And it was great to sit with the Forest Dunes people, some other media members. So Forest Dunes, as you know, has a top 100 public access Tom Weiskopf design. And then Tom Doak came in and did a reversible golf course that is known by both the red and the black. So, well, who owns Forest Dunes now? As of the last few years, it's the two gentlemen that were most responsible for developing Stream Song in Florida, and that's Rich Mack and Tom Sonnenborg. So both of them departed Stream Song a couple of years ago, looking for a new project, an existing project that they could work on and improve. And they landed with Forest Dunes. And so, I mean, what a combination! Already a great golf destination, and now they're going to add a Gil Hanse golf course, an original. So it was a lot of fun to have Gil Hanse in attendance, along with Rich Mack and Tom Sonnenborg, and others from Forest Dunes. But of course, Rich and Tom had hired Gil to do the black course at Stream Song and had such an enjoyable, positive working experience that they hired Gil and Jim Wagner and the Cavemen team to do the new course that will be starting up construction this year. Gil was especially excited about it because it was not only a fantastic piece of property, as he described and showed us the topos and some of the photos, but it was a coming home in a sense, because Gil got his start in the business working for Tom Doak, both as an intern at High Point, which was Tom Doak's first design, and then working on a golf course while he was actually in Tom's employ, called the Black Forest Wilderness Valley. So it does feel like old home week for Gil to come home and get his chance to leave his mark on the northern Michigan landscape. And what did Gil get excited about? Well, the golf course has a cool name, a little James Bond touch to it, called Skyfall. And the name and meaning behind Skyfall is from what goes on basically as the sun is setting or rising over that property, but especially setting as it falls. And, Gil Hanse described the area as, and what he'll be working on is perfectly situated for golf. It's all sand, it's all gravel, big sand pit. Um, there are trees, and he's going to leave trees in. This is northern Michigan, after all. What he described it is that if you're familiar with Boston Golf Club, which was one of his most important early designs, private course in Massachusetts, back about 20 years ago. And then also one he did not long ago, last 5 years, in France called Les Bordes, which has done very, very well in rankings and with critics. And he said, so the reason why those two courses somewhat will resemble what he's going to do at Forest Dunes with Skyfall is that they're wide, but not gigantically wide. So there will be a little bit more of an intimacy kind of feel because of the trees. So he's excited about that aspect of it. Not massive corridors, but wide and great connections from hole to hole with meadows and trees and so forth. So if he's that excited about it with 100 feet of elevation change, walkable, then it's easy for us to get excited about it. And so I'm very, very excited about following the progress on Skyfall at Forest Dunes and see how Gil does with his return to Northern Michigan.
Well, you're excited for that because you have been and you're excited to go back. I'm excited because I've never been. And that gives me a great opportunity to experience a lot of golf there now at Forest Dunes once this gets into the fold. It's funny how small the golf world can seem sometimes. You talked about the connections between Forest Dunes and Stream Song, and that's where we're actually going to go for the second announcement that came from Kemper Sports during PGA Show Week. As Joe mentioned, things were on the hush hush about Skyfall, but Stream Song came right out and told the golf world that they would be building their fourth 18-hole course. In fact, construction has already started on a David McClay Kidd designed course at Stream Song Resort. The fourth 18, it's going to sit between the red and the black courses and share a clubhouse with the black course. It's reported that this will be the longest course at Stream Song at over 7,300 yards. And David McClay Kidd expects to open as soon as the fall of next year, 2026. So this could develop rather quickly. From what I read, David McClay Kidd was at the opening at Stream Song when they opened the red and the blue courses and kind of just had it in the back of his head forever that I would love to be a part of this resort in some capacity, some way, shape, or form. And wouldn't you know it, years later, that he is back and building a brand new course. So no name for that course yet, but that'll give Stream Song, gosh, 418s, 19-hole short course. They've got an informal 7-hole loop over there as well. A lot of golf that you can play. Joe, really what we're seeing right now is an arms race in the golf resort world. And now where you thought that having two courses puts you in the conversation as a big place is there's so many places now with 3 and 4 or more golf courses as part of their properties. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Your thoughts about the Stream Song news?
Yeah, I mean, it's just really, really awesome news. If we look at David McClay Kidd, who, as you mentioned, was there for the opening of the red and the blue and always thought he might work there, that it's one of those things where there are a lot of talented architects working right now, both original designs and renovations, restorations. But the big four of modern golf course architecture, the guys that have been given the choice projects in sand, on sand, are Bill Coore, Ben Crenshaw, Tom Doak, Gil Hanse, and David McClay Kidd. So for David McClay Kidd to get this opportunity, one, he really, really wanted, and came up with what the Kemper Sports people felt was the best routing of the people that proposed routings for this next golf course there. It's great news. It's great news for golfers and another wonderful tip of the cap to David McClay Kidd and his team.
Yeah, and elevate Stream Song again to another tier with one course from each of those guys. So it's very exciting to see. And before we move on to the products we're going to talk about from the PGA show that we saw, um, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I also visited Cabot Citrus Farms again this year. It was the grand opening, official grand opening. The Carew course there at Cabot Citrus has been open for more than a year now, but the Roost course, their second 18, was officially unveiled. So now they have all of their golf open there at Cabot Citrus Farms. I say all. There's so much room out there, Joe. I totally would not be surprised if more golf is on the horizon sooner rather than later. But for now, they have two 18-hole courses. They have two short courses. One's a par three. One, the Squeeze by Mike Nuzzo, is sort of an in-betweener. Uh, 10 holes or nine in a bonus hole with some par fours, par five, and par threes in there, as well as a putting course, cottages you can stay in, and a host of other amenities. So, very amazing what has happened at Cabot Citrus Farms, the former World Woods property, in just a couple of years now. It's there and it's ready. It has to mature a little bit, but uh, it's ripe for the picking to make a fruit based metaphor.
There you go. Well, I mean, so much great golf in one destination. And they've added to what World Woods had and made it more distinctive, more variety. Um, so I think as a public course mecca, yet another one in Florida, this is very, very great news. For the folks that read links and watch and listen to us. Are you able to give kind of an initial assessment comparing the Roost Championship course to Carew, which was the one that opened a little bit earlier?
Yeah, I think that the Roost, the second of the two to open, is a bit more classic. It has tree lined holes. Um, it's a lot of uh, holes framed by water and framed by trees, and it does open up a little bit and mixes slightly with the Carew course, but only really in one spot. They share kind of a waste area, but it's much more of a standard a golf course that you probably think you've seen before. That's not to say it's not very great. It is a wonderful golf course with a lot of variety. Um, Short par threes, long par threes, up and downhill. The elevation change that you don't normally see in Florida, that's plenty there as well. Carew is just kind of like golf on another planet. Um, Adventure golf is what they call it. You can choose your own adventure out there. It's um, fairway and sand, and you kind of just blast off and don't expect to lose any balls, but probably expect to be playing out of nasty waste sand areas often. Um, the greens on Roost are exceptional and have a lot of character, and they just get amped up a notch on Carew. So it's kind of wild and crazy, and not your definitely not your average golf course. There's some people that love that. There's some people that decry that kind of thing. Um, I think I would love to play it again. It's been over a year since I've seen it, so it's probably matured a bit too. But um, it's nice to have two very different styles of golf there with some similarities, but for the most part, they're wildly different.
Well, Al, all I can say is that it's is an absolute treat for public golfers, admittedly upscale, but public nonetheless, to have two tremendous destinations in Florida between Streamsong and Cabot Citrus Farms that are not only offering up a great experience, but adding to it. So, congrats to both those properties and to traveling golfers everywhere.
Yeah, it's funny. We had that episode where we talked about all of the eye-popping private openings there were, and a lot of those were in Florida. So it's nice to see it also. The scale is balanced a little bit with some public openings as well.
Definitely.
So for the standpoint of things that we saw, the best things we saw at the PGA show, Joe and I both had plenty of time to walk around and shake some hands, talk shop with people in the industry, and see a bunch of new things that caught our eye. So, what I'm going to try to do is, we're going to talk about a few of these. We're going to be pretty brief on this, but I'm going to share my screen on the video, and I think that should hopefully give the listeners a quick look at some of the products we're discussing. So, the first one for me that I have seen plenty of upgrades and new things in the golf speaker industry, the rangefinder industry, and GPS functionality. I'm going to pull up this now. One of the exciting developments from a company called Blue Tees, who I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, their new golf speaker, GPS speaker, the Player Plus, is absolutely, uh, I think, changes things a little bit for how people think about golf speakers and what they're for. So you're looking at it now. The Player Plus comes with a display on it and shows you everything from yardages to the time and gives you a green view and distances to hazards, front, middle, and back of the green, all in a compact speaker with a magnetic strip that fits right on your golf cart. They've also got this cool thing called the Ringer. It's like a handheld GPS device. And here that is, if I can pull that up. Yeah, the Ringer. It just fits right in your pocket, smaller than the size of your phone, touch screen. You carry that around with you, and it's your own GPS device with everything you'd want to see. So display your score, show the green, your distances. Again, it's just a small handheld device and pretty affordable. I mean, you're looking at the screen right now. Retails at 250, only about 170 for one of those things. One of the things that's not on here that's exciting that was new for them was their golf watch called the Playmaker Plus. And I have an Apple Watch, so I'm kind of skeptical of that does enough for me. I've never really thought it was worth it to have a golf specific watch, but this one gave me pause and made me think about that. Uh, for the fact that a lot of the reason I wear an Apple Watch is to track my activity. This watch will do that same thing and also function with 40,000 golf courses on it to give you active GPS tracking on the golf course. And a nice touch is one of the things when I'm playing golf with my Apple Watch that always happens is I will inevitably turn my wrist and it has this crown right here between my hand and the watch that presses, and then Siri starts talking to me in the middle of a golf swing. It happens every single round. Their Blue Tees watch is intuitively designed to avoid that with the button on the other side. So they recognize some of the issues that a lot of people have with their smartwatches and try to offer the best solution that's golf centric. So a lot of cool products coming out from Blue Tees this year.
Well, it sure sounds like it, Al. I mean, a lot of that's the fun stuff, the gadgets and just how it's exploded. This area, in game improvement aspects, comfort and convenience, the rest of it, but getting you dialed in for the information that can actually help your golf game. So yeah, that was good to see, and also some realistic, reasonable price points.
Yeah, sure. Um, what do you want to bounce back and forth? I've got a few, maybe a few more than you. I could
Yeah,
do another one and then throw it over to you. How about that?
perfect. You do another one and
Okay.
then throw one to me. I'll start with Bridgestone.
Sure. And staying in the kind of rangefinder GPS space, uh, the rangefinder I saw from Flight Scope was particularly interesting to me. And let me share that one again as I've got it up on my screen. So this is the Flight Scope i4 rangefinder. What I loved in particular about this is this first bullet point. I don't know if you can see it, but uh, the rangefinder learns your clubs in your bag, learns your yardages, and gives you personalized club recommendations based on your launch data, based on local weather and environmental conditions too. So you look through the eye of the laser, and it will tell you this is what the club that you should hit based on your stats and the weather. It's connected to local news stations in your area, weather stations, and gathers the weather from there, uh, wind speed and direction and general conditions, and then we'll give you club recommendations based on that. So this was sort of a uh, if you're really into knowing exact yardages and what you need to hit, like this takes that also to another level. So I never seen anything like that before. 1,000 yard range on this thing. It's got all the normal stuff you would expect, the magnet, the slope feature, turning that on and off. But again, personalized club recommendations was something that I hadn't yet seen from a handheld rangefinder.
Al, listen, I don't do technology as much as you do, but this is a phenomenal innovation. I mean, honestly, it's like having your own caddy
It's a caddy in your hand. Yeah.
right there. And so to give you all the information that you need and then give you a recommendation that's based on your personal data, wow. That is what it's all about. And no excuse for a miss after that.
Yeah, when they said AI would be a good thing, I think this is what they were talking about.
Most definitely. Yeah. No, I mean, I know primarily folks know Flight Scope, for their launch monitors, but to have this rangefinder, they've entered the sphere. There are some wonderful rangefinders out there, but this extra little aspect to it is very exciting.
Totally. All right, you mentioned Bridgestone balls. What did they have to show?
Yeah, well, Al, I mean, honestly, when it comes to golf ball performance, first thoughts inevitably turn to Titleist and its Pro V1 lines. I mean, the proof's in the pudding and all the tournament wins and everything else. But once in a while, there are rival companies that come up with some very cool ideas of their own. And Bridgestone just happens to be one of them, something I noticed last year at the show, and they've gone ahead and done something with another golf ball line that embraces the same technology. So, for folks that know about Bridgestone, I mean, Tiger Woods uses their golf ball. They're the largest producer of consumer rubber goods in the world. So it's no surprise that there's some serious R&D invested in their golf ball division. Um, Last year, what I was alluding to was Bridgestone introduced the Mindset, which was proprietary visual technology created by Jason Day and his coach, Jason Goldsmith. So I was speaking with Elliot Mello, Bridgestone Golf's product manager at the show, and he explained to me, again, to refresh, Mindset is essentially a pre-shot routine, a mental focus exercise of looking at a red circle, identifying your target, looking back at a yellow circle and visualizing the shot or putt that you're going to hit, and then ultimately focusing on a green dot and taking your swing. So, what does that do? Well, ideally, what they tout and tried it is that it can free your mind of distractions. That's what the mindset technology is able to do. So if you're thinking about the double bogey you just made, or the cart girl coming up and what you want to drink and all that, and you should really be focusing on your golf shot. The mindset technology is what they had to say. Nope, just focus on these three things and hit your shot, and then you can do what you like. So they introduced it in their Tour B series of golf balls, their tour balls basically last year. And 46% of tour balls were sold with the mindset technology. This year, for instance, Kurt Kitayama, Chris Gotterup, and Fred Couples are now playing the mindset technology in their ball. Well, what's new in 2025? Mindset has been applied to Bridgestone's, how we call the E12 series, but it's the golf balls intended more for your 90 shooter. So
I think I
there
have
you
it there for you. Yeah.
there you go, Al. Up on screen, there's three different models of the E12. One is the high launch, the softest of the three. So the ball ideally rides on the club face longer, thus launching higher for more carry distance, something that's helpful for me, comes in a green box. You also have the E12 speed, the firmest of the three, launches lower, more penetrating ball flight for success in the wind. But mostly they will sell this golf ball, the mindset technology, in the E12 straight. And straight, well, that's pretty simple. Spin reducing in the mantle layer. And so for those of us who go a little too much side spin in hooks and slices, this is ideally meant to fix this. Comes in a kind of gold colored box. And there's three colors, within this. Um, you can get it in this day glow green. You can get it in the day glow optic yellow, and then there's the traditional white. So, for whatever it is, it's that mindset technology, which debuted with the Tour B golf balls last year, still using them in many cases. But this year, it's about higher handicappers and the E12 and being able to use the mindset in those golf balls. So, again, I just thought that worked for me, and it seems to have worked for a lot of golfers. So I was excited to see that Bridgestone had extended that for higher handicaps, so to speak.
Yeah, it seems very popular. I actually had the opportunity to hit some of these balls while I was at the PGA show for the first time. And, if nothing else, it gives you something to focus on the ball. That red, yellow, and green uh, mark on these golf balls, that's what it's intended for. And, maybe placebo effect. I was just kind of like, I feel like I'm more focused right now on this golf ball. Uh, and that's what they're trying to do. So whatever works for you, that obviously it's been a success for them enough to continue adding it to more of their golf balls. So good to see.
There you go.
Let's bounce over, I think, to shoes now. Both you and I got the chance to go over to our friends at FootJoy and see what they had going on. And they every year they have something new. It's not like you're going to see the same old same from FootJoy. There's always innovation. There's always something exciting. One of the big things that they were touting this year was their Hyperflex series. And so this is more of like the athletic shoe that FootJoy offers in the spiked category. So I think I have one here for the YouTube audience to see. This is an example of the new Hyperflex. Last year, if you remember, they had like the kind of almost like 80s, 90s colors, the bright blues and yellows and pinks. They've kind of toned back down to a more classic styling. This is an example in white and gray with some pops of red. They had a nice Carolina blue there that I had my eye on, Joe. And of course, they have the all white and the all black versions. But the Hyperflex has been the choice this year of Justin Thomas, a big brand ambassador for FootJoy. He switched over from that Premier Series, the classic shoe, looking for a change, looking for a spark, and found the Hyperflex as something new that he added. And lo and behold, he had a second place finish recently, a couple weeks ago. So something might be working there with Hyperflex, but um, what they have, kind of an overview of their system. Essentially, they were telling us about the stratofoam going all the way down from toe to heel. On the midsole, uh, spiral wound control knit is what they call it for flexible durability. Their true fit system. So when you slide your foot into the shoe, it kind of hugs your foot. So on top of the lacing, it gives you an extra feel of stability there, and then this force plate in the middle, um, helping you to use the ground, Joe, and get more power behind your shots with your golf shoes. Nice looking shoe. Um, I've actually never worn the Hyperflex. I'm excited to maybe get myself a pair because I like the new kind of athletic style of shoe. It suits me. Although Joe, the very popular Premier Series, which you and I both saw, was also there, and that's more of like that classic look tour style shoe that I pulled up here now. Um, did do you have a preference between the two? Which one suits your eye better, Joe?
Yeah, it's funny, Al, because JT, modern power hitter, but his dad's a golf pro, and he grew up with that classic sensibility, and loved the classic lines, of the FootJoy products. But I think in deciding, hey, I got to give every chance to give my game a boost, and for him to say Hyperflex is it, for right now and make that change, it's a big deal. Where you're at that level. And I was going to add that, there is that one little variation in the Hyperflex, which is something where they have a carbon uh, insert or a molded carbon power plate, if you will,
Yeah,
that helps with even more stability. So the guys who really go at it hard, swing speed, torquing, and so forth. I mean, that was always the question I had for those guys in the athletic shoe that were so flexible. So now it seems like FootJoy's been able to solve this, where you get that athletic look and performance, but also that stability, even if you are swinging extra hard. As far as the Premier Series go, I mean, that's more my old world sensibility. And that's what I always knew FootJoy for. And yet you see, I mean, that pebbled leather, um, that it's got the styling that says classic golf, but then they've kind of put the necessary ingredients of athleticism in that shoe that say, okay, I'm not walking in my grandfather's FootJoys. These are my FootJoys in this day and age. Have more of the classic look, but the modern athletic performance. So, I really really like them both. But the one thing I want to add, whatever your preference is, and I do love that Premier Series look, um, is that it's not brand new, but seeing the FootJoy Fit Lab in action in the booth was just amazing to me. Because when you think about all the technology that we now have in club fitting, in every other aspect with launch monitors and everything else, think about where this all starts, and it starts in the feet. And FootJoy is acknowledging we get it, that not every right foot adds up to the same dimensions as the left foot, and that people swing differently and rotate differently and everything. And to get you actually fitted, starting with your feet and then go into the shoes, great experience, great way to start off the process and then figure out what shoe works best for you and or what you like as far as what it looks like. So yeah, we were very impressed with what we saw at FootJoy this year at the PGA show.
totally. I mean, you can like what you like in your eye, but having that the Fit Lab tell you like actually for a competitive advantage, this shoe would be better for your game to have that kind of knowledge going into a purchase decision where maybe you're saying, I like both of these, but how do I decide? Um, that could be the difference. And that's also how I learned that one of my feet was half a size smaller than the other. So, um, the more you know, I guess. I
Yeah.
like I have a pair of Premier Series shoes. There's not many better looking golf shoes out there than this. Like you mentioned, classic design. This is the number one shoe on tour, and has that all day underfoot comfort from an Ortholite Eco Plush fit bed. They're good looking and they're comfortable too. So I love the Premier Series. I want to see if I get my mind changed by the Hyperflex because I like the look of that. I mentioned the one that had that Carolina blue accent. I wanted a pair of those because that I think that may push me over the edge. All right, a couple more from me in the apparel category. Uh, One I want to bring up is a golf sunglasses company called John Doe. Joe, I will never wear sunglasses on the golf course. And we visited the John Doe booth, and that was kind of my mentality the entire time. We're talking to the founder of the company, and he's explaining the tech, and I'm just thinking to myself, I can't do it. It messes with my depth perception. Uh, I don't know. I'm not sold exactly. Ernie Els is the brand ambassador for John Doe, and he just started wearing these sunglasses. He just so happened the first time he wore them to win the season opening event on the Champions Tour. The first time he wore them on the golf course. A pretty good endorsement there from
I'll say.
Ernie Els. Uh, we got to try on a pair at the show. One thing I didn't know, and I think a lot of people would not know this, is that polarized sunglasses are not intended for the golf course. They inherently do mess with your depth perception. It's not just a mental thing. Um, they really do alter things for you. So these sunglasses are not polarized. They're 100% UV protection. They use the red, green, and blue light spectrum. So instead of, you know, just getting rid of the light in your vision, they're actually using the light to enhance things for you. Um, they're pretty good looking sunglasses, got the kind of classic wide framed look that everyone likes now. And I will say that I haven't tested them yet on the course, but yeah, I felt like it wasn't altering, standing over a ball and looking down on it. I didn't feel like there was that divide in the sunglasses, and they're using very premium lenses on all these sunglasses. They're all custom, handmade glass for each frame, and this may change the way I feel about golf sunglasses. I'm excited to use them in a round and figure out for myself if I'm converted. I'm not sold just yet, but Ernie Els likes them, and for the same reason, he could never wear sunglasses, and now he's winning tournaments in them. So I don't know, Joe. It's just something different that for me, I was like, maybe I'll give these a shot.
Al, great call on this. I couldn't tell you one thing or another about John Doe sunglasses, but hearing your explanation and Ernie Els's endorsements reminds me how critical it is to have the best vision you can have when you're playing golf. This has been a stickler for me for years, in that I live in Arizona. I play a lot of golf in the sun, very bright sun, and a lot of it. And I have had difficulties with sunglasses and golf course performance. And I hear one thing from one optometrist, and another one is advertising something else. It looks like John Doe has hit on something here very important, because I won't mention the brand of sunglasses that I wear now, and they're prescription. They're wonderful. I mean, they look great, they fit great, and they're fantastic when I'm driving around or at a ball game or whatever I'm doing outdoors, except playing golf. I cannot use them. Tried twice, looked down, and it looked like the floor was moving. I could not reconcile with a simple wedge shot. And one round, it was the only thing I brought, had to take them off entirely. That was a round actually out here in Scottsdale at Desert Mountain. And I'm like, this is a horror story. So Yeah, sunglasses being a big part of performance, and it's certainly worth a try when you can find something that does not distort the ground down there, and you can look at a golf ball and be able to see, how a given green is going to break and that kind of thing. Um, so let me know how you do with John Doe, because I'm in the market for something like that.
Okay, I will keep you posted on that. Um, last thing, uh, last two things for me quickly. I want to mention. One was something that I didn't see. Someone actually sent me. There's all this content that comes out of demo day and the PGA show in general, but I got a video sent to me about this new golf bag that I had never seen anything like before. And it's a New Zealand-based company called Avgar, and their Euphoria golf bag. Uh, Here, I can pull it up for you on my shared screen now as well. So this Euphoria golf bag, it looks like a suitcase on wheels. Uh, it actually kind of, instead of having a range of different pockets everywhere, the middle part just opens up almost like a wardrobe and has compartments for everything inside of it. So it's a hard shell bag, um, perfect for, I would say, being a push cart or riding on the back of a golf cart. May not be the easiest bag to carry if I'm being honest, but central storage, spaces and shelves for everything. There's a cooler bag, then a shoe bag. You can put your shoes right in there. It's got something for everything. The clubs then don't go in the center of the bag because that's where all the storage is. They snap onto the outside in this sort of like rubbery grip mechanism that you just sort of place your clubs in and they hold still on the outside of the golf bag. So everything inside is storage. You can fit a lot more than your traditional walking golf bag outside for the clubs. Maybe the coolest part, though, Joe, as you can kind of see maybe on this video, a person pulling the club out of the bag. But the thing I liked the most was this green mate. So you can actually detach part of the club storage on the outside, and it functions as a miniature golf bag for your greenside clubs. Uh, a sand wedge and a putter. We're so used to throwing those on the ground, maybe on top of a towel or something, so it doesn't get wet. This you just detach right from the bag, and it stands up on its own. Once you're done on the green, you take it back and put it back on the bag, and you're on your way. Uh, that in its own, I was like, I mean, maybe this is an interesting golf bag. Like, I would never consider it, but that was like, that's really cool. I would use that all the time. So, in a nutshell, I've never seen a golf bag like this before. And I didn't see it in person, but I'm really glad that someone sent me a video of this because I was just like, this is really, really cool.
Wow, someone in R&D did some real thinking about completely re-engineering a golf bag. Um, I mean, you have to accept the fact that it's different, completely different than everything else out there, but holy cow, with all those different performance points, the way you take a golf club off the bag or out of the bag, with the little bag in a bag to bring to the green. Oh, no more leaving your wedges behind because you're putting and you forgot you left your wedges over there. And then the other things you described. Al, that's I got to admit that might be the most revolutionary thing that came out of this year's PGA show.
That's something you only see at the PGA show right there, and a way to discover that, or like I did on an internet video. And then the last one for me was a company that I'd heard about a little bit on our trip to Bandon Dunes in May. We had heard some of the on-site employees talking about their new housing on site and how they, had an affordable option at the resort. Um, so that they didn't have to sleep in somebody's garage in uh, the town of Bandon or Coos Bay or something like that. They actually had something on site, uh, apartment style living with their co-employees. And so I'd gotten wind of this and then found out some more information about the company. Dormy House is who is responsible for building that uh, workforce housing on site for their employees. So Bandon is kind of the beginning of this company's journey. It's a relatively new company, but they can promise a 12-month turnaround on their projects and gives your employees a space, their own sort of studio apartment. I think they maybe have a couple of other options that are a little bit bigger than that, but um, it's a benefit to the employees, obviously. They get something that they can afford that's close by. This is specifically kind of meant for like destination style golf resorts, and that's where it's starting now. I guess they could expand into other industries, but um, they're already planning more at Bandon. So it's a benefit for the employees, benefit for the company too, because they can actually keep employees who uh, maybe they're thinking this is a seasonal thing that I can't really afford to live there long term. I'm going to get some experience and I'm going to move on. And a lot of people maybe will go and do that and realize that I would love to stay. It's just not feasible for me. So this kind of provides an avenue that the club can say, you know what, we've got this option for you. We'd love for you to stick around, and they can keep good employees there that they want to keep instead of losing people out the door who just can't manage uh, living out towards a place that's really far away from a lot of different things. So, um, cool story, cool vision for this company. I'm excited to see if this gets added in more places. As you talk about destination golf, there's so many stories and options we hear about of uh, as you know, Bandon is hard to get to for a lot of people, employees included. And there's a lot of places like that. So this could be something that helps these areas keep the company happy, keep the people that work for them happy as well. Dormy House, dormydevelopment.com is their URL.
You know, Al, from time to time on the Links Golf podcast, we do talk about real estate developments with golf courses that we want to discuss, but I don't think we've ever discussed actual housing on the Links Golf podcast. So it's kind of cool that this impressed you, this whole concept to talk about here. Well, Al, the last thing that I saw at the PGA show, and I saw many more products, but just one that jumped out at me, something that like, yeah, I do want to share with our audience, comes from an apparel company called Turtleson. And they've been around for close to 15 years. I know that they're popular in the Lynx offices and Lynx trips and so forth. But I hadn't experienced it that way. Got several other recommendations as well, and said, well, I got to go see what's going on over there. And was fortunate to meet with company co-founder Greg Oakley, who was delightful company, gotta say. And he wanted to show me a couple of things in particular because there's all kinds of, they're known as most apparel companies are for their shirts, but there were a couple of outerwear aspects that really stuck with me. And the first one was the one I think, probably had the most fun with. And it was, you'd call it a sweater, but it was, wow, it was 100% merino wool. And what that means is it's a very fine, soft wool, not quite as soft as cashmere, but with a different property because it's renowned for transporting sweat and moisture away from skin as a vapor. It's inherently porous. So it's a great material, whether you want to pop it on straight on the skin or whether you want to put it on over a shirt. So the one that Greg was showing me had a pretty classic Fair Isle pattern. It's what it's known as. So, like, it looks like a classic sweater. Well, as Greg Oakley said to me, what we're trying to do with our product line is blur the line between luxury and performance. He said it's just that simple. We're not looking to design product for golf or design product for retail. We're looking to design a cohesive product line that could sit comfortably on a high-end golf course or in a retail specialty store. Um, kind of blur that line. And I'm like, okay, this is making sense to me now because this beautiful merino wool blue sweater, great Fair Isle, classic pattern. They're making it for the fall of 2025 in a hoodie. Yes. That's that's the difference. That's the 2025 thing. And I gotta say, with the performance that you get from that wool, the styling you get, could wear it anywhere, but saying we are definitely in the modern age with a hoodie, I just loved it. I thought it was really remarkable. And yeah, I mean, and Greg showed me one more from Turtleson that it got my antenna up because he said this product is for the guy that travels. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's the Lynx reader. And what it was kind of a reversible piece of outerwear. I think he called it the Kinsale. At least it's something close to that. Again, I think won't be available till fall, but the outdoor, handsome, again, a breathable fabric, very, very clean, simple, but then you can flip it open and reverse it, and it's this gray, silvery item and said, now I get it, why it's perfect for travelers, because you don't want to bring two garments when one will work and fit in your little suitcase. Um, I thought, hey, you hit on something here for the folks that really travel well and want some variety in the wardrobe. So a very good visit to Turtleson, good people, good backstory, and then a couple of really fun, great looking practical items coming up later in 2025.
Always tough deciding what to pack. If you can, pack two items in one, that will help for sure, especially if you like both sides of that reversible item. Yeah, we love Turtleson here at Lynx, and they help us provide some items for our guests at our various events. I was looking on their site and showing you here now. They have a nice selection for the 125th U.S. Open this year at Oakmont on their site. I thought those were very clean. Of course, you got that squirrel logo that everybody loves at Oakmont. Cool collection there. And then they've also got a nice team shop with several of teams that plenty of people are fans of in case you wanted to roam and see what's available there. But Turtleson's great. Good feel. I just ordered a hoodie from them for our Pebble Beach trip, so I'll get to test that one out too. But the merino wool is premier material, obviously, so might have to add that one to my list to look out for in the fall of this year from Turtleson. All right, I think we
Almost
covered
at
a good spectrum here of things, and hopefully some people discovered something new from this conversation. These were all news to me, so hopefully you got something out of listening to this today.
Yep. And again, from the endorsement side of things, I don't have any of these products. This was just what interested me most at the show, and so I may pursue a couple of them, but mostly this was just, man, I've seen a lot since I've been going to the show, starting in 1993. The PGA Merchandise Show, and every year there are definitely a couple of items that jump out at you. So, Al, you're right. We covered a lot of ground with our choices this time for the Links Golf podcast, the best that we saw at the PGA show.
See you next time.